Welcome to Lair, Deimos' hideout and Siege's newest map that's arriving in Year 8 Season 4. Before getting into the video, I want to thank Ubisoft for the opportunity to play the new season early and give you all a first look at the new map. I want to say before you comment on the map, try it, go into a custom, learn it. This map is well designed and it has lots of potential, so give it a chance. It was really fun playing it for the week in a test server. And I honestly think that it is a good map and you will enjoy it. There's a lot of fun things on it. It'll take some time to learn, of course, but I think in the end, it is a solid map. Just kind of looking at the layout, obviously we've got the free cam moving around here. The layout is pretty straightforward. Of course, there's a lot of things that you can vault on, but it is pretty clear. The layout isn't too confusing. You've got a few staircases, you've got some exterior entrances. There's a lot of points for the attackers to go in. And I think that's a really solid point. One thing I noticed is that there is a lot of thought that went into this map. It's trying to kind of make it into the competitive scene. At least 3 of the bomb sites are very viable, and we'll get into that when I talk about defense. But essentially what I'm going to do is start out with a tour, just kind of the ground floor, looking at the map itself, how you can navigate it, and then I'll look at each of the spawn points, and then I'll talk about defense strat and then attack strats. So we've got a lot in here, as well as blueprints to show you the map itself and kind of learn it that way. There's a lot of fun things in this map and I'm super excited for it. All right, we're gonna start out in the lift spawn, which is on the north side of the map. Part of my footage got cut, so I had to give you a little bit of a still, and then we'll get into my explanation of kind of exiting the spawn. Is that you can go, you've got a tunnel here, you've got a staircase, you've got tunnels here, you've got a staircase that goes all the way to the top, and then you've got another tunnel down here. So the map itself is quite interesting because in these spawns or outside of the map, you're going to be able to access each floor. So you've got the roof here, you've got the second floor, which is this balcony down here, you've got the first floor, which is a bit lower, and then of course you've got the basement, which you can kind of see it in that courtyard down there. So you see one of the windows that goes into filtration on the basement. And this map, you can access all floors without actually having to rappel. So you've got that staircase that I showed you that brings you all the way to the roof to the start. And then, of course, you can vault down. You see the vault prompt here, so you can actually vault down. You've got another staircase that you'd be able to kind of vault down on top of as well. But, of course, you've got some default cams outside. So if you look towards the east, you've got a default cam there. And then towards the west, you have a default cam there. And then we're going to run over to the south side of the roof, and you can see there's another default here. So there's only 3 defaults on the outside. But of course, this is the gate spawn. You have to be careful because there is a window over here that can spawn peek. But I'll get over the spawn peaks a little bit later. For now, I just want to go over a tour of the second floor, and then I'll spawn at some of the other locations and show you kind of how it looks. So this is Lair. Obviously you've got the western side, we've got a gym and then a sparring pad here. So I've just kind of like named them spar and gym. You'll be able to see that on the blueprints. I'm gonna let you guys see those so then you can see the layout of the map. We'll start out on the north side. And here we have at the top of Blue Stairs. So Blue Stairs is split in 2. You have part of it here, and then there's another part lower that goes into the basement. But we'll look at that later. Here you've got a default cam up in the corner, and this is Skybridge. So when you open up these windows in Skybridge, there's going to be a breach into the site. So this is into the master office mask room, and that's going to be reinforced most of the time. And you have to be wary if you're trying to open that with a hard breach because the defenders could be holding this Skybridge area. So we'll talk more about the strategy a little bit later, but you can see kind of what it looks like on the second floor. Here you have a spawn peak as well. So notice how I came out that lift spawn. Of course, this is something that you have to worry about if you're trying to go to the roof. This is the only spot that you can get peeked from that spawn. Here you have green stairs, which goes down to the first floor. You can kind of get a nice angle here onto the bottom of the stairs. So if anyone tries pushing up, you can watch this flank right here. Moving through the second floor, this is storage hall. This is storage room, and of course you've got some soft walls here. So this just goes to the R6 hall, and then this opens up to the site. So this is the R6 room. You have a bunch of R6 lore and stuff on these boards, and that's why it's called the R6 room. So this is one of these sites for the top floor site. but I'll break that down a little bit later. And you'll notice that all of this floor is soft. Here you have the other site, the bomb chassis is here, and this is that exterior wall that I was showing you earlier. So, second floor, this is the master office. You've got a few things that you can stand on, and then you've got a server room that is here with another hatch that drops down, and then this connects back to the R6 room. So, I'll continue through the second floor. There's not too much on the second floor. Here you have display room, which has a window onto the balcony. And then, of course, you've got hard floor here, again, into the server room. And then we have the bathroom as well, which has soft walls that go to the main stairs. All right, so you're going to see that most of this flooring on the second floor is soft outside of the server and display hallway. And the R6 hall, which goes towards the exterior balcony. So, run through mezzanine here. You can see the main door is off to the right there. And, of course, we've got more soft floor. And then we've got a double door here with a window that they would have to rappel on. You can kind of see the spawn peak that I was pointing out earlier. And, of course, you've got the door to the exterior, which is the sparring area. So it kind of just goes in this giant circle on the second floor. And of course, you've got that nice little mezzanine area. A lot of soft destruction capability. And, you know, it's a pretty interesting layout. So I'm just going to continue going over to the R6 room just to show you the outside. So through the R6 room, this is the storage hallway again. You can see above the compass, the name change. And then we're going to go out to the balcony here, which is the balcony north side. So you've got some butterflies and plants there in a display case. You've got a drone hole here. I've got to map out the drone holes. I haven't done that yet, but I will add that to the blueprints. Here's the window that goes into display. So you can see a display room there. And then you've got two windows that go into the bathroom. So you're able to see the bathroom. And of course, the bathroom has hard floor as well. So it's kind of a safe place from vertical. All right, and we're going to just head straight down into the main stairs. So there's going to be the three staircases. You have main stairs, you have blue stairs, which is in the northwest, and then you have in the north, kind of middle of the second floor, you have the green stairs. We'll go down main here, and that will bring you into reception. So in reception, again, you'll see more soft floor. You have a hatch that goes into the basement. You've got a little area that you can hide under a desk. And we're going to keep moving on further. We're going to go to one of the bomb sites now, which is weapon maintenance. You can see they've got a minigun in here. So this is where they do maintenance. Here's the hatch from the operational room that we were just at on the second floor. And then this continues out towards the range exit. You're going to see there's a window that people can jump in here, and then a double door that people can enter as well. This map, or this part of the map, doesn't have any soft flooring above it because it's the exterior. You've got a default cam there. And this part of the map can be very strong for the attack, which is why I think this site is not one of the greatest sites, because you can get into this part and then basically cut off this entire side, and you get easy vert from above. I'll show that a little bit later. And then we've got the Armory, which is the other site. So you'll see you've got another hatch here that goes to the basement. This opens up and goes to medical. And then we have the bottom of blue stairs. So this is where we would connect from the second floor. So we've got a window down here that people can vault in from one of those tunnels that I showed you before. And this comes down from the second floor here. And as I mentioned, you've got these stairs into the basement as well. Both of these are called blue stairs, so I think upper blue, lower blue makes more sense. Here you have a window to the courtyard. You also have a soft wall there. So this is the level below. Obviously, the roof is up there. They would drop down onto this balcony. So you could potentially get a spawn peek here, which would be very delayed, just catching the attackers off guard. Continuing through, same window. You can see the layout of the courtyard. We'll get to that a little bit later. And then, of course, you come into medical hall and then into bunks. So I'll show you medical. This is where I breached before. So that's one of the site walls. And you've got some stuff that you can kind of lay down and hide on in here. So this is definitely going to be some ratty plays for a lot of people. And then you get the soft floor again. So let's go back, make our way to bottom green. So here you have the green stairs. This is that dirty angle that I was showing earlier that you can hold planks with. So then you've got a window that is outside of bunks. So again, you've got this balcony just beneath the other level. And then we walk into bunks. So you see you've got some kind of like cutouts here, the inlays. And the thing about this site is there's going to be a lot of vertical potential. So I think this site is going to be one that we'll see a lot of play. And I'll show you my strats on it later. Just a possible strat. You don't have to follow it, but it's an idea that you guys can use to hold this site. You've got a hatch above here, and then you also have a hatch above in security. So this wall opens up out to the green pillar, and you can see the green door. Then you've got security, and inside of security you can see again a lot of soft flooring. And then we have out here to the balcony, and we're going to have one of these exterior walls. So there's a couple exterior walls on each level. You have this wall on the first floor, the courtyard wall on the second floor, and then on the basement there's going to be one on warehouse. All right, so moving through, obviously coming back from this balcony, the terrace, we come through security again, and we're going to kind of take a quick right first. I'll show you. This just kind of loops around back to reception. So this map is, while it might seem like there's a lot of clutter and stuff and a maze, it's actually not too hard to understand because the flow of the map is actually quite good because you have plenty of connections to get to different parts of the map very quickly. So you've got hatches, you've got, again, this hatch up here. So if you're trying to do like a basement attack or something and you want to take control of the map quickly and safely, you can head up the second floor, drop down this hatch, drone things out, and then you've got another hatch that goes directly into the basement. So I'm going to head back over here. This is the yellow stairs. So you've got a window here that has to be rappelled on. You can see a staircase. So the gate spawn might be a little bit dangerous because you've got a couple windows that can look at the operators as they come out of spawn. This is just one of those windows that has to be rappelled on, and then we'll head down into the basement in yellow stairs. So you've got another drone hole here. You've got a soft wall that looks into missile, and then you've got this massive warehouse. So you've got one of these escape boats in the warehouse. This is the soft wall that I was mentioning earlier, and you have an entrance into the boat door as well. So we've got this warehouse, which is not a site, but of course you've got a lot of different things to look at when you're coming in here. You've got a bunch of stuff that you can boost yourself on. So there's probably going to be a lot of rat plays in a warehouse. And of course, when you walk out here, this is back up to yellow stairs. You've got another default camp there. And then we've got a few avenues to get to these sites. So this is barrels in the northeast. In here outside, we've got a window. This is from the north side, so the tunnel. You've got the staircase that goes up there, then the tunnel off to the left of lift spawn comes back here. You can get into this window in the basement. So we're going to head through barrels. You've got a couple doors. You've got one that is electrical with a soft wall here. And then this door also goes back outside. So you can easily rotate from one side of the basement to the other by going outside. And you've got this window. Here you have the courtyard again. You can see the roof there, the second floor, first floor, and then the basement here. And here we have filtration, which is going to be at the bottom of lower blue. So the stairs that I showed you earlier. Here we have a soft wall that goes into a connector room called lab exits. And then, of course, we keep moving. This is lab support. This is one of the sites. So you have the bomb chassis that's in here on the left, or on the right. I don't know my directions. And then we've got a hatch above the site. So you might want to reinforce that. This is kind of a safe room. Think of it like Villa or Villa's vault, right? And you're going to be able to be safe in here. So you kind of have this connector between the two sites because lab is one of the sites and then lab support is the other. So this is kind of a safe space. You don't have any verts either above or below. Obviously, it being the basement, nothing below. and you can kind of play between the two sites here. Obviously, you'll probably want a rotate when you're defending this, but you can see this is what the lab looks like. This connects to the south to Toxin, and here you're going to have a lot of elevated angles and stuff. So I think a zombie is going to be very interesting here because you can actually do a lot of different things. I'm sure there's going to be some way that people bug this and get onto that spot in that corner with a zombie. I haven't tried it myself, but I'm fairly certain some people are going to do that. This goes to the stock room, which again, another exterior door. And you can see kind of coming from the gate spawn, you would be jumping down here and then into stock room. So this is essentially the basement. We'll come back out through Toxin. There's lockers here, which I'll show you. This is the bottom yellow wall. This is missile. So you can see more stuff to vault on. Out into the hallway, there's warehouse again, and then we're into lockers. So here's the lockers wall that I punched earlier, and then you've got a single wall here. So there's a lot of stuff in the basement, and I think the basement is actually going to be a quality site, especially if you want to kind of hold above. So there is a lot of soft floor above, but of course it's, you know, something that you could actually play with for your team, similar to what a roam would be on like Bank with a castle roam playing above. I think you have a lot of possibility with the multiple hatches that you can drop. So there's going to be a lot of creativity in this map, and I'm actually really looking forward to it. And I'm going to try to have some creative ideas for you by just giving you some strats that I think would work, and that would give you a leg up, you know, in the first week or 2 weeks of playing the map, because I know I haven't been able to test every single angle so far, and there's going to be a lot of different things that I haven't discovered because I've only been playing the new season for a week, you know, right before the reveal happens. And you know, I've spent a lot of time mapping this out and figuring out, you know, how could this map be played, thinking about it from a competitive perspective, and I honestly think it's very, very viable. So it might seem like a maze, but honestly, it's a pretty well-designed map. So now I'm actually just going to, as I finish walking around the basement here, I'm just going to kind of send you guys over to some of the other spawns. I'll show you some of the approaches that you can take to the building. So I need to reset this lobby and then get back to the other spawns so I can show you that. All right, so we're going to just kind of rotate this from lift down to shooting range. We're going to go from northwest to south and so on. And I'll just show you essentially the walkout of each of these spawns. So here we've got shooting range, which you kind of spawn in the very back of, you know, the map. Essentially, you don't have to worry about any instant spawn peaks on this map, at least none that I've found. And you can go off to either the right here, or you can go off to the left. So this kind of connects to the lift tunnel that we saw earlier. Here you can go out to the right, but if you come out to the right here, you have to worry about this door down here. So that's the shooting the range booth door. And then, of course, down here, if I were to go here, we have the range exit double door. So, and you got these tunnels that kind of work around. So the tunnel network system is really, really cool because it makes for easy rotations on the outside for these attackers. So if you wanted to go off to the north side, again, this tunnel connects to another basement window. Actually, this is blue stairs, so this is the first floor. So this connects to the first floor window, and you can see the armory site, the weapons maintenance site door that's right there, and then you've got the upper blue stairs that come down here. And of course, the tunnel kind of continues. This is still the first floor. You've got a staircase that goes up to the second. First floor, this is to green, all right? So if I punch this door, you've got green medical hallway and the bunks, all right? So bottom green stairs, green pillar, and so on. But if I wanted to go down to the basement easily, of course, I can go that route this way. All right, so kind of coming back to this peak here. So if you wanted to go to the left, again, this still looks at the range booth door, but you don't necessarily need to do that. If you come all the way on the outside, right, you don't have to worry about getting spawn peaked at all. You can rappel up to the roof if you want, right? And this is kind of a safe area for you to do that. And of course, you've got to make sure that you're looking out for these defaults. So default cam isn't until there. And then if you wanted to run around kind of the front side, you've got another default that's up here. And this is going to be that gate spawn, which I'm going to show you next. So spawning into gate, usually you are, again, at the very back, right? So you've got a few different avenues here to avoid spawn peaks, or maybe you misspawned and you want to get to a different part of the building, right? You've got this tunnel on the east that you can go down, which will help you get to the basement, right? So this is going to be one of those basement doors. And of course, if you're coming out of this tunnel, maybe somebody's going to peek that. Who knows? You've got the window on the first floor, which is at the top of yellow stairs. And of course, that's something that they can use to peek. So I'll go back here through the tunnel and show you the other avenues. Here we've got walking out a gate. This is where it gets a little bit tricky. So of course, if you stay behind the second one, you don't have to worry. However, if you cut here, this is going to be one of the windows that they could peek from. This is one of the second floor windows inside of the operational room. Then we come down here. We've got a tunnel that can kind of connect again. And here you've got the main entrance. So you can see main stairs here. And it's pretty self-explanatory. So this is the yellow stairs window again. Of course, you're not going to be able to vault there. You can take the staircase to get up to the other levels or go into the basement directly. And this comes out to security and then the bunks wall. So you have the bunks exterior wall. And then I want to kind of come down here into the dock spawn. So dock is going to be over here. And then you've got a soft wall as well that goes into warehouse. So there's a lot of different ways that you can kind of attack this map. And I think it's going to be very interesting in terms of like roam clearing. Because there are so many avenues into the building that attackers can avoid these defenders from holding one entrance. All right, now we're going to switch over to the dock spawn, which obviously we'll see some of this stuff again, like that default cam, and be able to show you the different approaches there. All right, here we've got the dock spawn. So, of course, we've got visually, this is very, very nice, right? You've got these boats. This was in one of the teaser photos that I shared previously, but you've got a few ways to go. So again, if you go out to the left here, this is going to be wrapping around to that dock door, which is going to be the warehouse door, right? So this is the warehouse door entering the boat side. Again, you've got that default there. You've got a default up here. You can't get the other default, but of course you've got these different ways that you can approach the building. So this is essentially going to be a little bit safer. Maybe people are going to try C4ing here, but the problem if you've got a C4 and you want to throw it in this tunnel is, yes, you can throw it over there. Maybe you can get a little peek here, but you also have to worry about this, right? You also have to worry about this, right? You've got so many different spots that you can approach the building that it's not easy for defenders to guess, right? And it's going to be a lot lower percentage of spawn peaks. The main spawn peaks are probably going to be from the windows on the first floor and the second floor towards the gate spawn, but there's realistically not a lot of successful peaks for the defenders on this map. So looking at this dock spawn again, you've got those two avenues to get to this door or go to the south side of this wall. Of course, you've got the boats again if we head all the way back, so you don't necessarily have to go up the middle or off to the left. You could even continue going off to the right here, which is going to bring you to an exterior staircase up to security side. So if we continue up this balcony on the south side, so of course this gets all the way up to the second floor. This is the first floor. Here you have the security room and then bunks, right? So you've got all of these terraces that are easily navigable. You can work through them very quickly to get to different parts of the building. So rotations for attackers are going to be very interesting as well. And that's going to do it for the spawns. Of course, you've got this north side, so all of this kind of like interlinks eventually. It doesn't really matter where you spawn, but generally you're going to be pretty safe from spawn peaks on this map. I'll show you some of them from the defender perspective a little bit later, but of course, you know, there are so many different areas that the attackers can come out of that for a defender, they're not sure where to look. And that makes spawn peaks on this map a little bit more risky and probably a lot less rewarding for the defenders. All right, now we'll head over to the defense and we'll look at some strats for the bomb sites. All right, so here we are in the R6 room and the master office site. So this is the second floor site, and I'll essentially show you what I would want to do. They mentioned that there's going to be a lot of verticality, and of course you can see the entire floor in both the sites is soft, right? So keeping that in mind, you'll be able to deny the plant from below. So I think ideally you're actually going to be holding more below the site than actually in the site itself. Right, you can have a couple players that are beneath with C4s and some sort of intel gathering, and you'll be able to kind of deny the plants. So realistically, what I would do essentially to slow them down in a couple ways. You've got the two walls here, which lead to the courtyard, so I would want to reinforce those. These walls, it's your choice. I think if you have a mirror available, you can do a few things, right? So obviously you'll want the courtyard reinforced. But I think one of the good ideas that we actually used in the test server would be reinforcing this wall on mezzanine, because reinforcing this wall on mezzanine then opens up this entire area. So you have to worry about this window and the door in operational, because it's pretty easy control for the attackers. And that's why I don't think the maintenance site and armory site that are below this are actually going to be that good. So we'll show you here. We've done the walkthrough already on attack, but we can see that this comes straight into this room. And I think if you have a mirror here, it denies this window and this walk into the door. So you can kind of control this mezzanine area. The problem is most of the second floor is soft, right? So there's going to be some of the entrances below in reception. The thing is, for them, it's a little bit risky to go here to try to, clear you out with a buck or whatever else, because they've got to go through range into weapons maintenance, or they have to come through the main lobby, which you could easily overlook. Okay, so with that being said, having a mirror here is very powerful. Also, you could have a mirror, kind of like I showed you, either in the server area or here. I showed you that for the Bunks site. And then, again, I think having a rotate in both storage and also server is going to be very good, because it allows you to kind of hold more spots. A nice angle that we had in terms of seeing the site is being able to stand on this box in the middle of server. You can get a nice vertical angle into the hallway or into the R6 door or into the other site. So some operators that might be helpful are smoke, right? If they start planting, you can play in server here and smoke out a plant, and then could even do that for this door. So one of the other power positions is going to be this hallway. I think you can hold this hallway pretty well, because you can put like a Banshee here or there on the window, and you can essentially hold the main stairs from here. You can keep server control from here. And obviously you can't be pushed out from below. So if they bring a buck or something else to try to clear the vertical, they won't be able to do that. So this is going to be one of the stronger points. And then I think the hallway over here in R6 hall is also going to be one of those power points, right? So you've got this door that you have to worry about. I think Azami might be really strong here. Azami or even Malusi again. Place your gadget here, and then you can play the hallway. So you do have this window to worry about, but they do have to repel here. Again, that's at peak up to the lift spawn. And then you've got this hallway. So this hallway is pretty strong because, if the attackers fail to take control of it, right? If they don't have anyone coming in these stairs, top blue stairs, or entering the gym door, then you can stop the hard breach, right? So you might be able to get a free kill here just by peeking out this window. So maybe you just shoot out a panel and then you're able to get a kill on the hard breach. So I think holding this hallway, holding the display area and server is going to be kind of your key to success in winning this bomb site. So again, you can hold here if you have a mirror. If you don't have a mirror, I would generally try to play beneath. And if you're playing beneath, you're probably going to be playing in medical and then also bunks and briefing. So I've got kind of a setup that I would like to do of reinforcing this, reinforcing these two walls, playing beneath, having a rotate in here. And that way you can kind of flow between medical and bunks and briefing, but you would have essentially a split roam. And this split roam would obviously have some sort of C4 in both sides, right? So the R6 room is very massive, right? So this is pretty much all of the R6 room above all these floors here, right? So I would have someone with a C4 here. That way you can deny plants on the far side of the R6 room, and then someone in medical as well that would be able to help deny plants in the A site, right? So you've got masks that you could deny plants from either here or in reception, right, under the default. And I think that would be one of the more successful ways to run this. So a Pulse, Solus, Valk, even Tubarão would be very good here, because then you can use that to get information on where the push is coming from, where the plant is going down, and then you can deny the plant there. This could also be good with Maestro having intel and stuff with his Evil Eyes, now getting a third Evil Eye. You're going to be able to see where these attackers are going to be planting, and you can deny it from beneath. Realistically, I think having a Legion or something where you would be roaming down here, trying to cut off these entrances and slow down the push of the roamers. I would reinforce the 2 bunks walls downstairs. That way, you know, it prevents them just from opening up this exterior wall, because this goes to a balcony, right? That's outside. That's one of the balconies. And by protecting yourself there, it makes it easier to C4, right? So you could also reinforce this if you wanted to. Not really necessary, because you would generally have someone playing in server on this hatch, so it kind of stops that push, right? So if somebody's coming in unsuspecting of this hatch, you can get somebody walking into security. So it forces the attackers to clear beneath before they actually try to execute. And it's a real nice change of verticality. Instead of always playing above the site, you can play beneath the site and still do well. Master, you have a lot of options where you could just play in the site itself, right, and play horizontally in those power positions, but you could also do an extended roam and have people beneath to deny plants from below. And this will definitely give you an advantage as well early in the map, because not a lot of people are taking the time to think about strats, but I think it could be a helpful way to defend this site. I'm going to start out with bunks and briefing. So this is just going to kind of show you the site real quick. You have the bomb chassis A in bunks, and then you'll also have the bomb chassis in B. So one of the ways that I think this is going to be held if it were to enter the comp scene is going to be from above. So we'll look at the ceiling. Everything in briefing is soft, and then you still have some hard floor in bunks. But because of the way the beams run in the ceiling, you can hold everything from vertical. So realistically, on the site, you'll probably still want rotation, obviously. Between the sites, you don't want to cut anything off, so you're forced to rotate through a door. But I think realistically, if you hold above and you don't lose above, you'll be able to essentially hold this entire site. So basically, my setup is going to be with this mirror upstairs. You can have a much stronger hold, but of course, we're going to see how you're going to be able to hold upstairs without a mirror effectively. But I think holding vertical above the site is going to be the most important thing that you can do, because if we look at the floor, you won't be able to C4 from beneath unless they're planting in briefing. So if you were holding from below and they just walk in the bunk's door, they can plant there without being denied. Whereas if you're playing upstairs, you would be able to deny that person from planting in that spot. So let's take a look. We're going to go upstairs. We're going to head up green stairs, head to the left. Here we've got storage, and some of the ideas that I had regarding this is maybe you have a castle or something. That way you can kind of keep holding vert, and this kind of holds vert above medical. So it's not necessary to actually hold in here, so you don't have to. So potentially you could reinforce this off, right? But if you do have a castle, then I would castle off this door, make some feet holes here, because then if they push up, maybe you castle this door as well, then they push up and try to get rid of it, you'll be able to see their feet. But realistically, you're going to want to play within server. So here we've got server, we've got a hatch that we could open up and see yellow stairs, and they'll walk into security. The walk into security from the outside is also here. All right, so you have vert above that, but we also have to be worried about the push from master office. So we have master office, which has this wall out here. And I think that it's probably a good idea to reinforce these, right? So if you reinforce both of these, then it's going to force the attackers to burn some hard breach in order to get into office. And then I think using this Mira, you could play her in a couple different spots. I think one spot would be here within server. The only thing that you have to worry about is that hole down there. So if you do have this hatch open, maybe it would be a good idea to have someone either holding in security close or holding in the yellow hall, right? So that's something that you'll have to think about, because obviously with this mirror that I'm going to put, that will be responsible for watching office. And you don't necessarily have to put it here if you don't want to be super cramped. Maybe you put the mirror in here instead, right? Because you would have the other mirror facing the other way. So maybe you want to use a reinforcement here and have this look towards the office, right? So you've got different options. I've just put mine in the closet for now. And then you would have the other one. You could have it facing this way. So the test servers ended for us on Saturday, so I wasn't able to kind of rearrange my strats with video. So this is showing you the storage room, and I actually think this would be a better spot for the Mira if you're reinforced where I made the rotate, because then you can watch the storage hall, and then you can make head holes on the R6 hall, and that stops them from actually pushing into the R6 room rather than giving up that vertical for the attackers. Realistically, you don't want to lose this room either, because you do have the vertical to deny the site, right? So you can see next to the bomb chassis, you can see kind of the door. This is the other angle that we saw earlier with the vents, right? So you can actually deny plant from over here. Realistically, I think the extended roam with castle would actually be better here, because then you can hold this room as well. You can hold the push up to R6 door, and that way you can maintain this vert and stop a plant if you need to from above. So I think holding the server area, because then you can hold the walk into server. You can also hold this walk into server. I think that's going to be more important than having a mirror here and holding R6 room, because even if you have this mirror, the attackers can just hold you from either of these locations. And if they start doing a plant, so you would either have to rotate through this hatch and drop down and go through the site, or you would have to try to kind of get through here and then try to get down this hatch. And realistically, if they're just holding cutoffs from these far angles, it's not going to be very easy. So I think castling this door, castling that door for storage, it allows you to play up here with a lot less concern. Of course, castle is getting kind of a slight nerf because more operators are getting frag grenades. So who knows what we're going to see with these changes, obviously how people are going to use their frag grenades. But castle kind of has a little bit of a nerf due to the fact more operators have stuff that they can bring to destroy the castles. For this site, if you lose the vertical, then you're essentially going to lose the site because they can easily plant. And of course, we've got the other side of this site as well. In Bunks, you can see the exterior wall. So no matter where they enter into the site, you would be able to deny it from the R6 room above. And I think that makes this one of the stronger sites. I think between this site and the second floor site, those are going to be the top two. Then it would be the basement. And then lastly, we would have maintenance and weapons. All right, here we are in basement, and we've got lab support and lab. So I'm going to make a rotate quick just between the sites, and this is lab. So you see A and B right next to each other, and we've got one door that goes outside over here, and we've got the bottom of blue stairs here with a window on the right side. What I was thinking with this site is because the floors above are going to be very hard to hold, we've got a hatch in this room in lab support, which is in weapons maintenance or armory, and then we also have a hatch that is in toxin, which is just next door. So here we have this other hatch, which is in reception in the main lobby. So I looked at thinking about a vertical hold, but I just don't think it's possible, because when you're holding vertical, you have to be holding in reception and part of medical, and it's just not realistic to be able to hold those open areas that don't have a lot of protection and be able to hold the site from above. So I think the best way to actually hold the site would be extending this kind of horizontally. So I would reinforce both the toxin hatch, which is in reception, and then also the lab support hatch, which is in armory. So by reinforcing these hatches, it obviously forces the attackers to go in there, but even if they do take vertical control, right, they still have to open these hatches and drop in. And by having this horizontal roam in different parts of the map, you can see in here, there's no vertical except for the far corner. So you can play close on this door. And that's why I think Legion is actually going to be quite solid on the defense for this horizontal roam. So you can play through Toxin, and again, I've showed you some of these boost spots. You've got Missile, which has nothing above it. This is the bottom yellow wall, so you can reinforce this. And then, because this roam is horizontal, you want to try to reinforce lockers. So you probably don't need to reinforce the single wall. You don't really need to reinforce in between the sites. Reinforce the two hatches. Reinforce this lab exit, right? Because that goes into this blue window and then bottom blue. You could even make feet holes here and stop a jump in, but I think that's too risky. I think it's just safer to reinforce this and try to keep this wall closed. And then, of course, you do have some vert to worry about, but it's not the end of the world because all of lab exit is basically reinforced. Nothing to worry about above. And you would have the reinforcements here, and you at least have somebody playing between the sites to stop a plant. And then further off to lockers, right? So you would be reinforcing these, because this is an exterior door to electrical, so you can reinforce those. Try to funnel them through doors, right? And then I would also have people playing in warehouse, so I'd reinforce these two walls, because it's, again, straight to the outside. And having this Legion, you're going to be able to throw goos at a bunch of these different entrances. Right, here's one of the windows. You'll be able to deny people from pushing through. So having this Legion is going to be vital on these horizontal roams. And if there is pressure, you are going to be able to safely kind of move back, right? You would come through Toxin, and then you've got these rotates into the site. And you could even deny stuff from Toxin if you have a SMG or DMR, for example, right? You can stop the walk into the site all the way from back here. And I think that horizontal roam is going to be even better. So you can actually deny the door from somewhat safe spaces all the way back in Toxin. So I think having this horizontal roam forces the attackers to clear a lot of different areas in order to feel safe in pushing into the site, right? So you've got these goo mines that you can place all over, even if they open this hatch and want to drop, right? I think another good operator for this site is going to be Fenrir, because you've got a lot of this stuff around the site where you can throw an FNAT. So before they even get to the door, they get blinded, and then they kind of look around and try to find out where the gadget is, right? So you've got some of that stuff there. You've got these things, so if they start to swing out of this doorway, they get hit by the Fenrir right away. Right, so you've got a lot of different objects around these doors that can make it advantageous for you. So realistically, I think that this site, while it is quite good at some points, I think it's going to be very hard to consistently hold a horizontal roam. And obviously, if you do give up vertical, after giving up these hatches, the attackers can get into these cutoff areas and cut off your horizontal roam. So it's not perfect, but I think it is probably the best way to play the site based on the way that I've tested it with other creators and seeing different things that work. So I'll show you a Legion clip that I've got on Basement, because you've got these little desks that are going to be extremely useful as well. So there is some clutter in this room because it's very hard to actually tell where somebody is holding because of these different tables and desks, right? So somebody could be hiding here, they could be holding a somewhat similar angle but closer up, even on the other side. And it's very hard for somebody to actually kind of walk into this room confidently and know where to pre-fire, because there's so many different angles for the defenders to use. And that's what makes this site a little bit stronger than the last site that I'm going to show you, which is first floor weapons and maintenance. And I'll do that right now. At Armory, this is my last choice. If you want to feel a lot of pressure as a defender, this is the place where you want to go. But personally, I don't want that. You'll see that pretty much the entire site of weapon and maintenance can be seen from vertical. Of course, you've got the hatch that's above there, and then you have half the site of Armory, which is soft as well. So you really don't have a lot of safe spaces in here. You've got 2 soft walls here that go to the blue stairs hallway, which personally I think it's better to leave this as feet holes, because you've got a window jump in there that you can watch, and you can also see blue stairs walk down. The blue stairs walk down is here. You can see that, and you can also see the window jump in by putting feet holes there and laying prone. And I think what you'll probably want to do is place a mirror wall in the middle of this wall. I think you don't play this site if you don't have a mirror, because realistically it's going to be way too difficult otherwise to hold this. So you could also reinforce this if you wanted, but it is possible to kind of play different angles. So you'll notice you've got a window here as well. So we've tested a little bit having the mirror on this wall and on this wall. It's really your choice, but I think having these head holes is actually quite useful. And this mirror also allows you to put some holes to be able to throw your C4. Right, so if they do get into the doorway, you'll be able to kind of launch your C4 and deny a plant. And then I would also want to reinforce one of these walls, because you probably do want somebody holding inside of maintenance for as long as possible. The mirror is here for support, but of course, again, there can be a lot of quick vert taken. So I'm going to quickly go upstairs and show you. This is why I think a mirror is required for this site. Otherwise, you're going to have a very unfun time. So you can either reinforce these 2 mask walls to protect the mirror, or reinforce the 2 office walls. But again, we're going to do that same mirror that I showed you for the second floor. And this basically just prevents them from being able to take vert very quickly. There are ways around it. You know, for example, if you take a fuse and you go on this window and you just start fusing, it's going to break this entire soft floor, right? So, and the fuse pucks are going to be going through this doorway. So there are limitations to this, but the mirror is basically a deterrent to try to stop them from pushing in here and then just opening up above the site, right? So if they just get into this site and make vert, it's going to be very, very hard for you as a defender to be able to stop them from taking this control. And once they have control of maintenance, they can throw a smoke down or a ying or whatever else to stop you from denying a plant, and you can't do anything because the entire site floor of maintenance is a hard floor, meaning you can't C4 from beneath. So you'd be throwing a blind C4 essentially with your mirror setup, and it makes it very difficult for defenders to actually stop a plant. The other thing that I will show you is in the range entrance, because I think the attack is mostly going to try to push from this side, because if you can push from this side, if a team goes here, you actually don't have to worry about too much, especially if they don't have head holes here. If they leave this like this for you, that's fine. You can just open it up, but not having head holes here makes it tough. I think as a defender, I'd also make a rotate and try to hold medical, so you extend a little bit. That way you're not, you know, fully kind of cooped up and limited to just this space in Armory. So having those head holes makes it a deterrent, because you can obviously see this window and so on. But it's really definitely up to you on how you want to play this. You've got head holes that you could deny the window. You could also deny the walk-in, right? But this site is very, very difficult, and if you want to try to flank it, there is nothing that you can do, right? If you're trying to flank a push from range booth, you've got to like run outside of gym or outside of operational, which they're probably going to have vert on already, and then rotate all the way down here, and that's just not realistic. It's just not something that you're going to be able to do. So if attacks take range and then smoke things off, smoke off a cross, and then smoke off a mirror, you can easily just plant in this door and then get out. Right? And then you can also maintain vertical, and they have to rotate and go all the way up the stairs to try to retake that, and it's just not realistic. So it's a very difficult site. All right, so I'm just going to do some quick stuff regarding attacks of these bomb sites. I know I've kind of mentioned it briefly, talking about the setup of defenses and whatever else, but the attacks are going to be pretty straightforward. When we look at attacking the top floor, we're going to talk about the top floor site. So there's some cool tricks that I found attacking it. A lot of people say that vertinating is going to be done, but it's not necessarily done. So there's some cool stuff that you can do with that. But let's just talk about straight on takes, looking at the map and where the attack would want to take control. So I'll just use red for this, talking about the control, because this is obviously going to be the greatest contrast. I have these blueprints that you guys can look at, and essentially this is just going to be something that you can see the vertical of each of these floors. We're just going to start on the second floor for now, just to talk about the best points to attack. So the brownish color is obviously the wooden flooring. The soft floors outside is this green, so you can see the courtyard. You've got the balconies on the eastern side, and of course you've got the gym and spa area as well. So when you are attacking the top floor, if your goal is to kind of open this wall there, the courtyard wall, you obviously have to take control of this blue stairs and skybridge area, right? You've got these two windows that you would have to worry about. So you have to make sure that you have this cut off before you try to execute for this wall. And then getting in here, you can plant both in the mask room and the master office. So you can plant anywhere within here and then anywhere within the R6 room as well. So these are the areas that you can plant, right, in either of those two rooms. And it is a very large area, but you have to notice that it is soft flooring. I mentioned this when we were talking about setting up the defense. So that soft flooring is obviously going to be problematic if they do play beneath the site. So most things that I've seen so far is getting this outside wall open and trying to take control of operational. So realistically, if you're going to be holding this area, maybe there's going to be a mirror on this wall that looks out towards operational, so it kind of cuts off that push or limits that push. But again, there are ways to kind of get around that by going beneath. So you could go in downstairs in the range exits and then maybe nade through the floor. Obviously, you can't cook nades anymore, so you would have to shoot out a floor panel, or you would just have to bring in a buck down here to push that mirror out. I have to make sure my old habits are dying because vert nades aren't going to be as easy as they used to be. All right, so taking that control, then you can obviously either pinch and get control here and avoid these flanks that are coming from the green stairs area. But the idea is to kind of plant in this mask room area, because then once you get control of operational, if you open off that operational wall, you can stand in here and hold the cutoff in case someone rotates here. So you can cut off that entry into sight. And then if you have someone holding across here, it can protect the plant if you're putting it down in the mask room. All right, this is a hard wall here, so you don't have to worry about getting, shot while you're trying to plant. So you can set up crosses to essentially protect a plant in the mask room. I think ideally, if you're attacking this site, that's going to be the easiest and most efficient way to do that. But of course, we need to see how people are going to play defenses to figure out how we can best attack those defenses. And these are just all theories at this point. If you wanted to attack the other side, of course, you've got this display room, which is accessible through either the server hall or this window. And of course, you've got the R6 hall. So maybe you want to take control of both of these areas. And then once you get into server, you can essentially hold the cutoff all the way through storage and at this double door. And then if they do have head holes or something in this wall, you could even hold an angle like that, so it cuts off rotations from the master office. All right, so ideally when you're setting up, I think your plant is probably going to be safest here or even tucked in here, because if you have control here, you can cut off that side. And then if you have control here in the server hall, you can kind of cut off that angle through server, depending on if they have head holes or not. I feel like a lot of people at the start are just going to reinforce that, which I don't think is a very good idea. All right, so that's just attacking the top floor. Now let's move into the first floor. So looking at the first floor now, so we can actually switch between the two. So we've got the first floor, which is here, and then we have the second floor here. So again, you've got a lot of soft floor, which I've put on the first floor map. I had to make sure I got the right one. So you can see the soft ceiling, so you can see the vertical potential. So something that was fun for me is in this area, you can see it's soft ceiling, but also soft floor. So I was kind of messing around with Tachanka, and you can actually play in the basement and launch up the fireballs, and it lands actually behind the desk, right? So you can launch a Shumika because you have the bomb chassis, which is in this area. The desk is in the middle. So you can actually land Shumika that spreads on the backside of the desk from the basement. But, you know, that's just having fun with it and not actually trying to strat, but it is a possibility. So when we look at the first floor site, we have two options. We have bunks and briefing. I've already shown you how to defend those. And then, of course, we've got armory and maintenance, weapons maintenance. And those are going to be kind of, this is the toughest site, in my opinion, just because you do have, you know, hard floor here, so you can't C4 that from beneath. And then there's the vertical floor above with a hatch that is accessible from the outside. So you've got a window on this side and then the door above that attackers can just get control immediately. A buck could rappel upside down and kill someone that's behind the bomb chassis, for example. So it's not a very fun sight. So when you are attacking this, if you're attacking armory and maintenance, for example, you would want to be taking that vertical control. All right, so if we go back up to the second floor, it's that vertical control here and operational. So you would take this vertical because that's where the site is for maintenance. And then once you have control of that, there's really nothing that people can do because, again, you could open up this wall and have someone hold a cutoff, right? The only way they can get to you in operational is either they go through Skybridge and then rotate outside behind you, but that's going to take 3 seconds to go from this door to this door. So you're going to know if they're going to be flanking you. And then up through either master office or the main stairs, which if you just have someone here holding a cutoff through the wall, there's no way that they're going to swing out into the hall and get all the way to the room unless they win their gunfight. So realistically, if you're attacking weapons maintenance, operational is going to be the first thing that you want to try to get control of. And then back to the first floor, the other area is going to be the range exit. So then again, here, range booth, nothing they can do to flank you. They would have to go outside and jump outside, and they're going to be outside for at least 5 seconds just rotating to this door. So there's no way you can get flanked from range. And basically, you just have to make sure that you can either smoke off or cut off with a sense this area. There is a drone hole here, which I found super amazing. With sense, you can throw a rue in and it basically cuts off the entire site. So if you don't want to throw smokes, you can actually just take reception control and then throw a wheel through that drone hole and it cuts off the entire site. So if you have vertical, nobody's in the site, you can sense off and you can get a plant down here safely in the door. So that's why this site is not going to be very great as a defender, because the attack can do so many things to prevent you from actually planting. And then for bunks and briefing, so staying on this first floor, you'll be able to see there is a little bit of soft floor, but only in the briefing side. So realistically, there's no reliable way to, you know, C4 from beneath as a defender. So thinking as an attacker, you'll want to pressure them, obviously, with bunks wall here, which they will probably have a rotate, you know, on this wall. And they'll be playing the site. I think at the beginning of the new maps, it's a little bit more condensed because people just see walls in the site and then they reinforce the walls in the site and they don't think. They don't think about what we should be doing or taking control of. But realistically, I think the best way for attack would be having someone wait with the diffuser here in this window, right? Or even just having someone here cutting off this door, because then it cuts off this hallway if they try to rotate back. Right, so I think having 2 players on these doors is going to help set up flank watch and then execute for later in the round. So, of course, I mentioned this as defenders ideally would be holding this from above, but they aren't necessarily holding it from above. When they are holding this from above, you're going to want to take control of R6 room. So this is the essential area for attackers to take control of. So you'll want to either get in through display room. So you can either do that through the bathrooms and getting through server, right? So you can take this area of the map, and that way you get server and R6 room, and this is where the vert can be made for the plants, right? So that's the area that defenders should be fighting for to keep control of. And if they don't have control of that, you should be able to get a plant for free, because if you take vertical control and then you go back into bunks and you plant in the doorway, you have full vertical with the hatch. You have the hatch in the site. You can cut off the doorway, which is just beneath the R6 door. So you can actually cut off any rotation from the attack or from the defense into bunks, right? So the rotation is probably going to be under the hatch somewhere. Bunks is down beneath. So if you just have vertical here and the defense gives it to you for free, you want to take it. So you can then set up the execute for a plant. So once you have vert, you can push people out of the site. So this is essentially the entire site beneath. And then if they fall back to server, if you make a rotate into server and you open the hatch here, that's also another spot that you can catch defenders, because you can hold the server door from this hatch, and realistically, defenders aren't going to be able to make a play. And going back to the first floor, of course, as an attacker, you're going to want to be planting in the areas where they cannot see for you from below. All right, so maybe you plant here, maybe you plant here, depending on where you want to push. Maybe your hard breach opens up this wall. The problem is, if you plant on this side, right, you have to worry about a run out of security if you don't have somebody on this hatch, right? So there's a lot of stuff on attack that you'll have to be worried about. So if you open that breach, somebody can just run out here and then they get a line of sight on the diffuser. So I think ideally the safest area is going to be kind of in bunks here, right? So you can kind of plant either on this. This is vaultable. This is just a solid object. So if they're looking for an angle, you'll be somewhat protected by that solid object. So you'll want to plant in that doorway. Then the vert from above can watch this door, and you can have the green door watching the flank, right, in case anyone comes out of medical or the hallway. And then you can have someone here in case, you know, somebody sneaks down green stairs instead of taking vert, right? You can have that cut off. But realistically, you probably won't need that if you have vertical control, because you'll be aware of green stairs, right? Someone could potentially, you know, rotate out medical, go up blue stairs, then on Skybridge, and then come down the green stairs. But that rotation, if a plant is already down, is going to take so long that it's an advantage for you as an attacker. Your execute point is going to be somewhere in bunks. It's not going to be perfect every time, but that's an ideal scenario with your attack. That's where it's going to be. All right, I'm going to quickly run through what an ideal basement take would look like. Obviously, we didn't plan any strats when we were playing the test server, but I think just by analyzing the map, there's going to be one kind of successful way that you can do this consistently, and that's going to be by taking this western side of the map, both on the basement side and above. So if you take the first floor and the basement side on the western side, you're going to be much more consistent in your plants. And this is due to the vertical that you're able to get on one of the sites. So lab support, you can see you have this hatch that's in the middle of the room, and that's where you're going to want to get vertical. So this is inside of Armory. So you have Armory, which is there above. You have Armory, which is in this hatch kind of above like that. And then you have the main lobby, which is giving you that vertical. So there's possibilities to actually kind of get into the first floor without a lot of denial and able to get a plant down. I think ideally your plant is going to be going in this corner, and the reason it's in that corner is you can have someone in the main lobby behind the hard wall that is able to hold vert on the rotate, so they can get anyone that's rotating out of there. And you also want to make sure that the filtration wall gets opened. So that's probably going to be reinforced, but by opening this wall, it gives you a sight line on lab exit, so you can actually hold kind of across here so they can't rotate in, and the defenders are then kind of, you know, funneled, right? They can only go through the rotate, they can only go through lab exit if they want to get into the site very easily, and you have that cutoff established. In addition, you do have vertical, right? So if you take vertical above the site in Armory, which is very hard for the defense to hold anyways, take that vertical in Armory, get above lab support, and then you can establish these crosses. So you can have someone enter into stock with the bomb, and then they can get the plant down in that corner. But usually, even if you do have vertical, you can have this person that is either holding the toxin or the hatch, but I would probably have just the person above that's going to be holding the rotate. Then the person in filtration is going to be holding the cross from lab exit. and then you would have another person in stock that's holding the push to stock. And by having this kind of off angle on the doorway, it protects your planter. This person having this off angle on lab exit prevents someone from pushing through. And then, of course, the person above is going to be able to watch the rotate, or the planter after they finish their plants can watch the rotate. Ideally, I think that's how it's going to work, is that lab support is going to be the target for the attack. Because if you try to take horizontally through warehouse, you have to move through warehouse. Then you've got all this debris that people can hide on. You can vault on some of this stuff as well in the warehouse. So you've got some stuff in the corner that can be vaulted on. And then you have to kind of funnel down this hallway or breach this missile wall. But even then, once you get in here, you don't have the sight, right? You have to continue moving through. You have to get through toxin into lab, or you have to move through lockers into lab, and then you finally get into the site, which course, you know, is quite open, and they can watch you from either the rotate or lab exit as you walk in. So I think the horizontal take would be a little bit more problematic, and the lab support take on the western side and taking vertical is going to be more consistent. All right, so I'm going to end here with some clips, some gameplay from the new map, and some potential that you can find out just from what I was playing with. I'll have a few defender clips, a few attacker clips, and that way you can kind of see how the map has played out, at least with the creators.
One friendly operator remaining.
Can't even use the new op.
You in that?
You can kind of see how I did my horizontal roam here. I had rotates basically in the site and connecting to toxin, and then I'm going to start playing off of these tables, right? So there's a lot of different off angles that you can use in here, and I was trying to use that to my advantage. He hit one of my goos, and he's got to pull it out at some point. So I'm just going to be patient here and eventually win this round. We've got some Banshee placements for top floor to slow down some of the hallways. You've got display R6, and then we're going to have one for top main as well. And this way you can kind of play that display area without having to worry about vertical from below, and you kind of cut off all the hallways.
Yeah, it's such a good, like, extended hole.
This is all hard floor. It's over here.
Playing Blitz again. Why though?
Dispatching grenade!
Nah.
Tell me when the other
They're not even attacking breach, to be honest.
They're pushing main lobby.
firing grenade! Why are the sites so far apart?
Zero's down, right side at the door.
Brace yourself! Launching
Yeah, burn them down.
You know.
Nice. Oh, damn.
Oh
Ooh, baby.
is being launched.
Very nice.
In this entire wall's been open. Right behind me. Oh, no.
It's like the perfect attacker spot because of these holes.
Yeah, this is amazing.
It's perfect.
Launching Shumika! I'm out!
Maybe she passed through the hallway.
Operator remaining.
Yeah, she got into the door. So you can use those arches above mezzanine just to see this Shumika. You can fire off main stairs. You can basically fire off main door as well. And Chonka's, I found, was really, really strong on this part of the map. Super cool stuff. We're not gonna shoot, but I just want to show them what it looks like with the Sensu. Like, you can cut off the entire line of sight from the second sight by
nice.
rolling a
Drone
sense
hole?
through the drone hole. Yeah.
Oh.
But unless somebody's playing on this wall, you can basically cut off this entire site.
Target acquired.
Peace.
Oh, grenade! Ah!
Oh no! Oh no! I bombed myself. No. Hey, you can still get kills with nades.
Down to one friendly.
Bomba!
Oh, we got the plant down though. Oh, they can long arm it, I think. Oh!
Op 4 eliminated.
Look at Baguette, man.
Oh yeah, let's go. Oh boy.
Oh my god, it bounced.
I am slowed.
Is he on the stairs?
Yeah, one's on yellow.
Or house stairs, yeah.
Tracks released!
Wait, open that. Oh, shotgun right here on ping.
It's a pulse.
Oh! Cuba!
Op 4 last stop standing.
Oh baby, last one was
Last one's
upstairs.
offside. Yeah.
Oh, that's not sight. Oh,
He might have rotated on the other blue stairs.
I hear him above.
No, he's above still.
Hello!
Man the bomb.
Wait, don't.
On your left is the blue stairs.
Yep.
What, where I'm aiming?
Diffuser is active.
Blue is
Yeah.
up here, over here.
Where you came from. No eyes. No.
What? Where? Oh my god. He's like in. He's in the site now at me. Yeah, he's running to you. Diffuser. On the. Thanks.
Op 4 neutralized. Mission
What? I
successful.
don't know who I just died to. Am I blind?
Well played. All right, we've reached the end. Obviously, the map is brand new. I'm not sure how it's going to play out in ranked, but these were just kind of my ideas just after testing it for a week. And I hope you made it to the end here. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you like the look of Lair. And then once you jump into it on either the test server or on season launch, which should be in the end of November, November 28th on a Tuesday, that is when Lair is going to be released in the game, coming up with the Operation Deep Freeze season launch. So thank you guys again, and I will see you guys in the next video.